Network Africa. 40 people killed as a result of militia infighting in Central African Republic. South Africa prepares to manage any case of the novel coronavirus should it occur on its shores. Plus, authorities in the Democratic Republic of Congo begin distributing a new oral drug to fight against sleeping sickness. Hello and welcome to the program, everyone. I'm Layo Adegoke. Sudan has become the latest country to test its citizens for the coronavirus. The country suspects that 2 of its citizens who returned to the country from China are infected with the new virus. According to the information minister, one of the pair, a man and a woman, had been in the region of the Chinese city of Wuhan, the epicenter of the virus. They are both under medical checks now. While other African countries are also stepping up efforts in preventing the virus from entering their countries, the Mozambican government has suspended issuing visas upon arrival to travelers from China in order to curb the spread of coronavirus. The decision was taken at a cabinet meeting held on Tuesday. The Minister of Justice, Mkhize, said the measure was only temporary. Mozambican students studying in China have requested to be evacuated from the country until the outbreak of the deadly virus is controlled. It is unclear whether they will be allowed back in the country. There are several suspected corona cases that have been reported also in Côte d'Ivoire, Ethiopia, and in Kenya. In the meantime, Kenya says it does not have any plans to evacuate its citizens stuck in Wuhan, the epicenter of the coronavirus disease. The country's ambassador to China, Sarah Sarim, announced that the option for evacuation should not be an immediate concern for now. Other countries have been making plans to evacuate their citizens from Wuhan, but Ms. Sarim said China was in a better position to deal with the virus. While still talking on the coronavirus, one of Africa's main economic hubs, South Africa, says a string of measures have been put in place to identify, isolate and manage any case of the novel coronavirus should it occur on its shores. Now, speaking to the media today, Health Minister Dr. Mkhize so far says no case has been recorded in South Africa, but the entry point officers, medics and the citizens are being enlightened on what to do.
Just as the rest of the world, Africa is seized with preparations to avert a spread within of the coronavirus infection. The head of the WHO in South Africa, Brian Chirombo, painted the pictures at Tuesday night.
4,593 cases have been reported confirmed globally. Of those, almost all of them, which is 4,537, are in China. There have been 106 deaths that have been reported. Outside of China, there have been 56 cases, which have happened in 14 countries.
South Africa's Health Minister, Dr. Mkhize, along with officials of the National Institute for Disease Control, outlined measures in place to reassure the country and prevent any cases from coming into the country or spreading should symptoms manifest way after a person passes through a port of entry.
A hotline has been set up at NICD to field questions from clinicians. South Africa has also developed and distributed clinical guidelines and case definitions to doctors and nurses in both the public and private sectors, which include information on how to diagnose and respond to a possible 2019 NCOV case. Provinces have activated outbreak response teams and are on high alert to detect and manage inadvertent cases that may arrive in the country. However, due to the current risk of importation of inadvertent cases of the coronavirus from Wuhan City, our port health authorities have intensified surveillance of all travelers from Asia, especially in China.
Should a clinician identify any case about which they are concerned, we are offering a 24-hour hotline which is manned by medical doctors, and clinicians can phone this hotline and discuss the details of the case. And this hotline has received a large number of calls to date from concerned clinicians. However, there have been no suspected or confirmed cases identified in South Africa to date.
For now, the WHO does not prescribe travel or trade restrictions against China, and South Africa has none in place. This latest outbreak of the coronavirus in China brings back memories of the severe acute respiratory syndrome SARS coronavirus outbreak also in China in 2002, as well as the Middle East respiratory syndrome coronavirus outbreak in Saudi Arabia in 2012. The WHO has called for continued preventive preparedness of countries as it continues to collate information and updates on the outbreak. From Johannesburg, South Africa, Betty Dibia, Channels Television News.
Well, Betty Dibia joins us now from South Africa. Thank you, Betty, for speaking to us. I know there will be so many reactions to this, but have we heard anything from regional bodies, SADC, the African Union, or ECOWAS concerning this outbreak?
I guess it's safe to say that all the countries on the continent are taking the lead of the WHO with regard to information sharing and collation of whatever updates that they have. But I know that on the part of ECOWAS, you have the West African Health Organizations that has said, just like the WHO has also said, that it's critical for all the member states to collaborate to take precautionary measures. Since cases may appear due to international travel. There's also the emphasis on precautionary measures, active surveillance, early detection, isolation, case management, as well as contact tracing to prevent the spread. We also know that with regard to ECOWAS, you have the regional laboratory network and then the regional rapid response team to respond to anything. A collective body that looks into especially situations where countries cannot cope, and the other member states will be able to help. But now you have a statement, since you asked about the African Union, the director of the African Union Center for Disease Prevention and Control, who had said that, look, all the suspected cases of coronavirus in Africa remained a rumor as surveillance and screening were being enhanced across the continent. So there is no confirmed confirmation yet, but there are cases where people have been isolated to look at them further. That's as far as it.
Yes, and those people who have been isolated, some of them are in Ethiopia. We have 4 students who they say they've quarantined. I want to ask about the blood samples they said they were sending to South Africa. Do we have any word on that?
With regards to the blood samples arriving from Ethiopia, there isn't much word on it. We don't know if it's here yet. At that press conference, we didn't get to hear much, but whatever it is that comes out of it, I'm sure it will be made public. But as we speak now, there isn't word on it, on the outcome. Now you have the suspected case in Cote d'Ivoire, where the country has actually said it's not been confirmed if indeed the person in question has it, but there are symptoms that have been exhibited, but it's not confirmed. And we also have the situation in Ethiopia, where we have 4 people that came from the Wuhan city in China, where the virus is taking the biggest toll and where it was first identified. There was a statement from one of the officers from the health ministry. There was a statement from the health minister of Ethiopia, which confirmed some of these things, and then confirmed as well that the specimen from the 4 suspects have been sent to South Africa for further examination. South Africa is quite equipped to research and deal with such situations. Today we had, from that report that he had, we had the members of the National Institute for Communicable Diseases giving us details on preparations, country-wide preparations, down to the provinces and at the national level on what to do or how they're prepared from the border point of entries into the country and to the cities and to the rural areas. So everybody is on high alert and doing everything possible to get people informed. Also, in the case of those 4 patients from Ethiopia, they were diagnosed negative after they had been screened and found to have higher than normal body temperatures. So there's no confirmation yet that you actually have cases of the coronavirus in Ethiopia. So for Cote d'Ivoire and
All right then, Betty Debia. Thank you so much for speaking to us, our South Africa Channels TV Bureau Chief, I beg your pardon. Moving on to other stories now, still in South Africa, more than 500 refugees and asylum seekers are about to enter their 5th month at a church in South Africa's coastal city of Cape Town as businesses in the neighborhood continue to call for their eviction. The majority of the refugees are living inside the Central Methodist Church, with others camping nearby. They say they do not feel safe living in South Africa's townships. They have vowed not to leave the church's premises until they are resettled outside South Africa. The country's asylum system has been criticized for taking too long, and South Africa has been blighted by xenophobic attacks. Local business owners have also called for the group to be evicted, saying it is obstructing their tourist souvenir businesses located near the church. In the Central African Republic, where at least 40 people have been killed as a result of militia infighting, local authorities say several hundred have also been forced out of their homes. This latest attack is some of the worst since armed groups agreed a peace deal last February. The agreement, which was meant to bring stability to a country rocked by violence since 2013, when mainly Muslim rebels in the Seleka alliance ousted the then president, prompting reprisals from mostly Christian militia. Now, as hundreds of thousands flee a surge in jihadist violence in northern Burkina Faso, towns holding the displaced are increasingly unable to cope. The once quiet commune of Piscilla has swelled from 15,000 to 45,000 over the past year, straining limited water resources and leaving the sick and elderly to sleep on floors in tiny rooms or courtyards with dozens of others.
A year ago, Piscilla in Burkina Faso's north had a population of 15,000. Today, it had tripled its size after 30,000 people fled to the once quiet commune to escape a surge in jihadist violence. People like 23-year-old farmer Ahmed Sawadogo. He ran from a nearby village of Rafenega after armed men arrived on motorbikes and started shooting people.
They killed people 40 meters away from me. I was running away, so I couldn't see who was fleeing and who wasn't. But those they killed were the same people I was with at the market.
Simplice Traore said up to 17 people were killed in attacks at Rafenega and Wegda between January 17 and 18, and that a few days later, assault on 2 other villages left 32 dead. The influx of displaced people, he says, has put tremendous pressure on local population.
Almost all of the families are hosting at least one displaced family. Some families have even taken in around 80 people. So that is putting pressure on their way of life. It changes practically everything for them.
Basic resources, including water, are scarce, while schools in Priscilla are overflowing as most of the displaced are children. Security decreased dramatically across Burkina Faso and its neighbors last year as Islamic militants with links to Islamic State and Al-Qaeda stepped up their attacks. Last week, Burkina Faso's parliament voted unanimously to provide training and funding to local defense forces. The United Nations says Burkina Faso is living through the fastest growing refugee crisis in West Africa. Its Office for West Africa and the Sahel said in a report this month that in total, more than 500,000 people are displaced because of violence, a tenfold increase on 2016.
Still to come on the program. Over 20 Nigerian words make it into the Oxford English Dictionary. Please stay with us.